I have invited you because I would like to know your standpoint right now when the things are getting a little more tighter when it comes to Greece, and thereby also, at least from the standpoint of the Greeks, perhaps, the euro. You have been fighting, or if I could put it this way, the euro, at least in the way it is right now, correct?
Yes, I was originally fighting for the euro as president of the German Industrial Federation. I was advocating for and fighting for the euro even abroad. But ever since May 2010, ever since the first Greek package, I decided that that was a mistake. And ever since, I tried to correct the mistake.
I have invited you to comment on the situation both for the euro and for Greece. You are known as being the man who fought the euro. Could you perhaps elaborate a little bit on why you were fighting the euro? What went wrong with the euro?
Well, let's, for the record, set one thing straight. I was originally for the euro, and as president of Germany's Industrial Federation, I fought for the euro inside and outside Germany. But ever since May 2010, I realized it was a mistake because there was a firewall between the German taxpayers and politicians in the south of Europe. And that firewall was called the no bailout clause. And Mrs. Merkel and Herr Schäuble broke down that firewall. Ever since, I tried to correct that mistake.
But things have not changed dramatically from that point. Am I correct?
Well, yeah, that is true. The policy of the government and the Euromantics in Brussels and Strasbourg is always to push the catastrophe which I see coming into the future. Other politicians will have to deal with the problems, not the current politicians in power. So it is like if you jump from a skyscraper. So you jump and you have reached the 40th floor, nothing has happened. But eventually you will land.
When you were first introducing the idea, for those who don't know it, to have a North Euro and a South Euro, was it really realistic or was it a provocation?
No, it was absolutely realistic. Let's face it, we had the Northern Euro 15 years before we introduced the euro. Whenever the Deutsche Bundesbank had a revaluation, and it had altogether 17, of course the shilling and the crown and the guilder and so on also revalued. So what that shows is that a common currency can work within a common discipline and a common economic culture. But there are two different cultures in Europe. There is the culture of the worry about inflation, and there is the culture about growth by reducing the value of the currency. And our position, my position, is definitely a currency should reflect the culture, and we should not change the culture to fit the currency.
What about the situation of Greece? Am I right in remembering that you were actually favoring an exit?
Yes, I was in fact 15 years ago against the entry of Greece into the euro, although I was in favor of the euro because even the official statistics, I don't talk about those which were faked by the Greek government, even the official statistics had definitely shown that Greece shouldn't have been allowed in it. And for the Greeks, the euro has become much too strong, with the result they couldn't sell their goods anymore. For the Germans, the euro has become much too weak, with the result that we swamp the world with our exports. So this one-size-fits-all currency has become a one-size-fits-none currency, and Greece is the country which suffered most, in my view, from that absurd development.
But there are coming very different messages from Athens, but none saying we want to get rid of the euro.
Absolutely, because it's a very comfortable situation. They can blackmail Germany, and they're doing it at the moment. And Herr Schäuble is always projecting to the German electorate that he is fighting for the interests of the Germans and always says, until here and no further, and then he gives in. He has been giving in since May 2010, each and every time.
So what's your advice now in the present situation?
In the current situation, we are the only party which offers alternatives to this, in my view, disastrous course of action.
That's why the party is called the Alternative for
Exactly,
Germany.
that was the main reason why we were forming this party. With a different Euro policy, this party wouldn't exist, quite frankly. But it's, in the current situation, the best thing would be for Greece to leave the Euro and this is making it different to all other people making similar recommendations. We believe we should also allow them to forego some of the credits because the money is gone anyway. I don't know of any economist, regardless whether he likes or hates the Euro, who believes that Greece is in a possibility to ever pay back their debts. So why not put it on the table and say to the Greeks, okay, we allow you to write off your debts. We won't have the money back, but please leave the Euro. And for Mr. Schäuble, this means that he has to go to the Bundestag and has to say, I have made a mistake. I have to write off billions of euro. But quite frankly, the money is gone anyway.
But what's your comment to the Troika? Well, it's called something else now. Asking for further reforms in Greece due to the willingness of Europe to pay anything for the Greeks?
Well, let's face it, of course Greece needs to be reformed, but what worries me in this whole situation more than the economic side of this is that Germany, Frau Merkel, Herr Schäuble, as the representatives of the potential largest creditor, always need to tell other countries what to do. This is ridiculous. Frau Merkel and Herr Schäuble were not elected by the Greek people. They were elected by the Germans. But the Euro forces them to constantly tell the Greeks what to do or not to do, or the French. The French should liberate their labor market, the Italians should reduce their big state, the Greeks should privatize more. These are good recommendations, but it is none of Frau Merkel's business. And you can see with this very example that this is a stupid system. You know what? In May 2010, Germany was the most liked country in Greece. Today we are the most hated country. When Frau Merkel visits Athens, she has to be protected by thousands of policemen. This is the direct result of the Euro.
But on the other hand, who should tell the Greeks, if not the strongest part in the game?
Nobody. They should tell them that themselves. And if they are
unable... Do you believe they can't tell them?
Well, that is their business. They have survived for 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 years. They will survive too. In the past, they could devalue their currency. So in other words, and the same is true also for France, by the way, these countries have consistently been able to devalue their currency when they were unable to reform for political reasons. Now the entire euro is going to be devalued just to help them to compensate for their inability to reform, with the result that the Germans don't realize, but the value of their euro, of their wealth, is shrinking dramatically, as you can possibly and best see in comparison to the exchange rate, to the Swiss franc or to the US dollar.
Final question, even if you are German, could you give an advice to Athens?
Yes, I think they should ask us to be allowed to leave the euro, because it is very strange. There is no legal mechanism at the moment for them to leave the euro without leaving the EU. They should remain in the EU, of course. So we need to be changing the contracts or violate the contracts. But quite frankly, Frau Merkel and Herr Schäuble and the European Central Bank and many others have violated the contracts, the Euro contract, the Maastricht Agreement, so often that this particular violation would be justified.